How does it feel to be useless, son? My mom laughed in front of the entire family. I looked at her calmly and said, "It feels great, because I just stopped paying your rent." Her face went pale. My dad choked and screamed, "Rent? What rent?" "My name's Scott. I'm 32. Oldest kid. Security guard. Night shifts in lobbies that smell like lemon cleaner and old carpet. I know every camera code, every stairwell echo, every coffee machine that squeals like it's dying. I rent a small one-bedroom near the freeway. I iron my shirts on Sunday nights. I keep my boots by the door. I'm the guy they call when the elevator gets stuck at 3 a.m. I'm also the guy my family calls when the lights at their place start flickering, when brakes squeal, when something came up. I don't drink much. I count tipsy people for a living. I carry a pocket notebook and a cheap pen. On page 1 I wrote, "Boundaries." Under it I wrote nothing for 3 years. It was a Sunday. Early dinner at my parents' apartment. Grease on the air, football on low. My sister, Jenna, scrolling through her phone, fake laughing at something on TikTok. My dad on the recliner with a belly laugh loaded for any joke about kids these days. I brought a pie from the supermarket. Pumpkin because my mom says it's festive, even when it's not a holiday. I set it down, washed my hands, asked where the plates were. Normal, quiet, familiar. Then mom looked up with that look she uses when she's feeling brave in front of an audience. Chin tilted, smile too wide. "How does it feel to be useless, son?" she said, laughing like it was a warm joke. My fork tapped the plate. Jenna smirked without looking up. Dad chuckled. "He's sensitive," he added, like a warning to the table. I swallowed. The fridge hummed. A neighbor's bass thudded through the wall. I could feel the old pulse in my neck, that combination of heat and ice. Mom leaned in. "I'm asking. You don't come around. You don't help with family plans. You're always tired. Being a security guard isn't hard." She said security guard, the way people say part-time magician. Jenna finally looked up. "It's giving mall cop," she said, like she was on a show. I lifted my water glass. It shook. I hate when it shakes. My hands are steady at 4 a.m. with trespassers. But here, at this table, they vibrate like I'm holding a live wire. Dad cleared his throat. "Your sister's planning a trip. We all chip in. Family does that. You know." Mom stabbed a piece of chicken. "We've carried you long enough," she said, still smiling. "Time to carry us for once." I stared at the pie. Store sticker still on the lid. 2 for $8. The dumbest detail in the world, and it stuck to my brain like gum. I heard myself say, very softly, "Okay." I didn't argue. Not yet. I didn't pull out numbers or texts or the creased receipts in my wallet. I didn't mention the last 5 rent transfers, the ones I labeled utility, so Dad wouldn't get weird. I just sat there while Mom laughed and Dad shook his head and Jenna typed, and I let the moment hang. It felt like the air before a storm, the kind that flattens things, the kind that washes a street clean. Dad grabbed his beer and coughed. "Useless," he repeated, teasing. I looked at Mom. I looked at my own hands. "Calm, finally. It feels great," I said in a voice I barely recognized. And then I went back to my pie like nothing had happened at all. I didn't explain. Not there. Not in that room. Not yet. I started working the night I turned 19. First job was a grocery store lot attendant. Reflective vest, sunburned neck, hot asphalt. The manager liked me because I took extra shifts and never asked to go home early. "Work now, rest later," Dad used to say. Later kept moving. Security came next. Hospitals at first. Drunks and shouting families and a lot of waiting. Then high rises. A nice lobby. Marble floors. A fountain that made me need the bathroom every hour. The pay was steady. The night differential helped. I told myself I liked quiet. It felt like control. Mom liked it for a year. Then she started saying things like, "When are you going to get a real badge?" Dad called it guarding couches. Jenna called it cosplay. I pretended I didn't hear. Money was always the topic. Not openly. We're not an honest family that way. It showed up as hints. "Your sister's car, it's making that noise again." The landlord, he's picky about the due date. We'd come visit, but gas is crazy. I learned to translate. Noise means brakes. Due date means rent. Gas means cash. I sent money in quiet little lines. $120 here, $300 there, another $60 for groceries. I told myself it was temporary. I wrote boundaries on page 1 and kept flipping to page 2. Jenna is 26. Influencer in theory, barista in practice. She buys things that arrive in pastel boxes and films unboxing videos that get 12 likes. She's funny. She's also allergic to bills. When I asked her once about paying Mom back for the phone plan, she said, "I bring vibes." Dad stopped working after his back surgery. He refuses desk jobs because I'm not sitting in some office like a prisoner. Mom does part-time at a florist, mostly for the photos. They're not cruel people. They just believe the universe owes them a cushion, and I'm the nearest couch. The last year turned rough. Rent hikes, and their building added amenity fees for a gym nobody uses. Mom cried on the phone the first time they got an eviction notice. I took my overtime money and wired it before my own rent cleared. I told my landlord I submitted late by accident. He charged me $50. I told myself 50 was just a number. What's a number to a son? Every holiday turned into a ledger. Christmas? I bought their tree, their gifts, their dinner. Dad posted a photo with the caption, "Family is everything." I liked it. Then I lay awake counting the hours I'd traded for those ornaments. When I tried to set a limit, Mom switched to guilt like a practiced pianist changing keys. Remember who fed you when you had braces, Scott? You think we had it easy? You'll understand when you have kids. Jenna added her own script. I'm the baby. Babies need help. I kept paying. And every time I did, the story they told got louder. Scott is stable. Scott doesn't need anything. Scott will figure it out. So when I missed a shift because of a fever and lost the overtime slot to another guard, I told nobody. I ate rice for 4 days so the week would still add up. Small things piled up like snow. Dad borrowed my car for an errand and brought it back on empty. Mom used my Amazon account and forgot to change the address, so I drove across town to fetch bath towels and a ring light. Jenna posted a story from a nail salon with the caption self-care, tagged me with a heart, and then texted, "Mom says you'll cover it." There was a family group chat called Fam Jam. It was mostly memes, chain prayers, and requests. Every request got a dog pile of pressure. Scott, be a good son. Scott, don't be dramatic. Scott, stop acting like a stranger. I tried to be honest once. I typed, "I can't keep doing this," and watched the 3 dots dance. Mom replied, "We didn't raise you to be selfish." Dad added a thumbs down emoji. Jenna sent a selfie with fake tears. At work, I was the calm one. At 2 a.m., when a drunk man pounded the desk and demanded to see a tenant who didn't live there, I was ice. "Sir, I need you to step back." At home, my heart sprinted when the doorbell rang. The first real crack came in July. Mom called whispering, which means she wanted me to feel like I was part of a secret mission. "Don't tell your father," she said. "We're short this month. Just this once." It was never once. I sent $900. She sent a heart and a photo of a casserole like it was part of the receipt. 2 weeks later, Dad announced he was hosting a barbecue for family morale. He asked me to pick up ribs. Ribs became ribs and charcoal and soda and a tablecloth and ice. At the end of the night, I carried the trash out while they debated whether it was time to replace their TV. Jenna said, "Scott's got a Costco card." When I asked Mom why the rent kept coming due early, she said the landlord changed systems. I believed it because believing is easier than fighting. Then there was the accidental credit card thing. Jenna asked to borrow my card to hold a concert ticket because hers was being weird. It posted for $240 and then $84 and then $19.99 every month for a streaming service I don't use. When I confronted her, she said, I was going to cancel. Chill. She never did. I did, after paying for months. I kept notes. Not to weaponize. To stay sane. Date, amount, reason. August, $300 parking tickets. There were 2. September, $150 Jenna's books. She isn't in school. October, $200 Mom's prescription. It was a facial. Each line made me feel less like a son and more like a debit machine that sometimes laughs at Dad's jokes. At Thanksgiving, Dad toasted the provider. Everyone clapped. He nodded at me, but didn't look at me. I took a bite of dry turkey and tasted metal. In December, the building where I work changed vendors. New uniforms. New rules. New supervisor who thinks clipboards are a personality. My hours shifted later. I got home at 7 a.m. and slept until afternoon. Mom called at noon every day. You're hard to reach, she said, like my sleep was a problem she had to solve. The eviction notice in January wasn't a whisper. It was a red stamp on white paper, and Mom sent a photo in the group chat with 9 crying emojis and the line, "We can't do this alone." I looked at my bank app and felt the floor tilt. I had the money. Barely. My rent was due in 5 days. If I covered theirs, I'd be late again. My landlord had already warned me a second late payment would mean a fee I couldn't shrug off. I stared at the number. I thought of Dad's laugh and Jenna's nails and Mom's casseroles. I thought of my boots by the door. I sent it. That night I ate cereal with water because I'd run out of milk. I stood at my sink, chewing something that tasted like cardboard and regret, and promised myself this was the last time. I wrote, "No more" in my notebook under boundaries. And then I closed the book because the words looked silly next to my choices. 2 weeks later, Mom invited me to Sunday dinner. "Family time," she said, with sparkles around the words. I brought the pie. I washed my hands. I sat down, and she laughed and asked how it felt to be useless. The room tilted again. Only this time it didn't knock me over. It just made me see the picture from a different angle. Every joke had a bill attached. Every memory had a price tag. And they were presenting me the tab with a smile. I didn't flip the table. I didn't give a speech. I ate pie. I looked calm. But something inside me finally stood up. I didn't plan the confrontation. Not really. I planned the facts. Monday night, 2:10 a.m., I printed bank statements at the lobby printer. Line after line with their names in the notes. I took photos of the red stamped eviction. I screenshotted the text where Mom wrote, "Just this once," and the one from Jenna that said, "You're dramatic, but thanks." I slid them into a cheap folder with a cracked spine. Evidence, not for the court, for my own shaking hands. Wednesday, Dad's birthday dinner. Same apartment, more noise. Pizza boxes on the counter. A Bluetooth speaker playing classic rock too loud. A new 55-inch TV on the wall. I stared at it. "Like it?" Dad said, puffed up. "Got a deal." I looked at Mom. She looked at the TV like it had fallen from heaven. Jenna took a selfie with the screen behind her and captioned it, "Family vibes." We sang. Dad made a speech about loyalty. He always does. Then Mom turned to me in front of everyone. 2 aunts, 1 uncle, a couple cousins who only show up for food, and said, "Scott, say something nice. Your father thinks you're mad at us." I opened the folder. My hands didn't shake. I put the first page on the table. February 3rd, $1,200. Rent. Next page. March 4th, $900. Rent. Next. April 2nd, $850. Rent. I slid the photos of the eviction across the table like a dealer with a bad temper. Jenna rolled her eyes. "Why are you doing a PowerPoint?" Dad frowned. "What is this?" Mom's smile stalled. "Scott, don't be theatrical." "I'm not," I said. "I'm told facts." I turned to Dad. "You asked me to carry you for once." "I have. For a year." Quietly. "You can call me a lot of things. Useless isn't one." Mom laughed, brittle. "Oh, please. You wanted to. Nobody made you." I nodded. "Right. Nobody made me. I chose. But you don't get to erase it and write a different story. So here's mine." I took a breath. "I've been paying your rent. I've covered your utilities when you forgot. I paid Jenna's tickets and her subscriptions and her nails disguised as textbooks. I did it because I love you and because I'm stupid sometimes. I did it until I couldn't breathe." The room went wrong kind of quiet. The TV reflected faces I barely recognized. Dad's voice got loud. "Rent? What rent?" I held his stare. "Your rent." I tapped the page. The line that says rent. The one after the eviction photo. The one you covered with a new TV. He stood up so fast his chair skidded. "You don't talk to me like that in my house. It's not your house if someone else pays for it," I said, and my voice scared even me with how calm it sounded. Aunt Lisa said, "Guys, maybe sit," and then stopped because Mom had started clapping. Slow, sarcastic claps that made my skin crawl. "Congratulations," she said. "Do you want a medal for being a son?" "I want boundaries," I said. "So here they are." I folded the folder shut. "I'm done." Mom froze. "Done with what?" "Paying," I said. "The rent. The fees. The emergencies that aren't emergencies. The trips. The nails. The ribs and the ice and the TVs that happen to show up when the landlord calls." Jenna scoffed. "You can't just stop. Family doesn't stop. Family also doesn't humiliate and call names and treat someone like I was there just for payments," I said. "So maybe we can stop doing both." Dad jabbed a finger at the door. "Get out." "Gladly," I said. But first, I slid one last page onto the table. I canceled the auto-pays that had my card on them. The internet. The phone bundle. The streaming. You've got until the end of the billing cycle to switch. I'm not cutting you off mid-show. I'm not a monster. Mom's face emptied of color. "You what?" "I set a boundary," I said. "Like adults do." Jenna lunged for the paper. "You're ruining everything." She meant her shows. She meant the easy life. I picked up the folder, tucked it under my arm, and stood. "I love you," I said. "But I won't be your bank." Nobody spoke. The song on the speaker hit a bright chorus like a soundtrack to a different movie. Dad's hand shook. Mom stared at the TV. Jenna typed with furious thumbs. I walked to the door, opened it, and stepped into the hallway. The air tasted cold. For the first time in years, the word on page 1, boundaries, Felt less like a joke and more like a door I could close. The first night after the confrontation, I expected panic. I expected to pace and second guess and rewrite the whole scene in my head until my lungs hurt. Instead, I slept. 8 hours, straight through, mouth dry, arm numb, dreams of nothing. Morning came with a notification storm. Missed calls from mom. Call me now. We need to talk. You're being cruel. Then a text from dad. Man up. Then from Jenna. You're done when I say you're done. She followed it with a photo of her middle finger like she's 13. I went to work. Swiped in. The lobby smelled like lemon cleaner and old carpet, and for once it didn't smell like obligation. By noon, Fam Jam was a courtroom. Aunts weighing in. You can't abandon your parents. Cousins I haven't seen since 2017 sending Bible verses. Someone wrote, honor thy father and mother, like it was a credit agreement. I wrote one message. I won't discuss money in the group. If it's about rent, the answer is no. Then I muted the chat for a week. Day 2, my landlord emailed to confirm my rent processed on time. I stared at the words like they were art. On time. 2 words I hadn't seen in months. I made eggs and toast and ate them like a king. Day 3, Jenna posted, public service announcement. Don't have kids if you expect them to pay your bills. She tagged me. I didn't bite. I blocked her for 24 hours, not out of anger, out of peace. Bills started bouncing from their side. First, the streaming services. Then the internet. Mom called at 10 p.m. whispering like it was a hostage situation. The Wi-Fi is down. Your father is missing his show. I said, call the provider and switch the card. And she said, you think we're rich? And I said, I think you're capable. And she hung up. Day 6. Aunt Marcia sent a long Facebook message about how we all sacrifice for family, and your mother carried you for 9 months. I typed, I carried them for 12, and deleted it. I sent hope you're well instead. Small muscles I didn't know I had unclenched. The first real fallout hit on day 8. Mom texted a photo of a letter. Final notice. Their landlord wanted the full balance by Friday. She called me sobbing. They'll throw us on the street. I sat on my bed, boots by the door, feeling the old urge bloom like a rash. Fix it. Hurry. Be the net. I opened my notebook to boundaries and read the lines I'd written after the birthday dinner. No more rent. No more guilt. If they get evicted, it's because they made choices. My hand steadied just reading it. I said, Mom, you can sell the TV. You can call the church. You can talk to the landlord about a payment plan. I'm not paying. Her voice changed. Warmed to ice in a second. So you want us homeless? I want you responsible, I said. I want you honest. She hung up. 10 minutes later, the group chat lit up with a paragraph about how I was abandoning them. A cousin I barely know wrote, could never be me. I muted the chat again. At work, the doorman, Pete, noticed I was lighter. New haircut, he joked. I said, new boundary. He laughed like he didn't get it. Then he told me about his divorce and how he sleeps for the first time in years. Sometimes people understand without knowing why. Day 11, Dad called. No hello. You think you're a big man, he said. Cutting off your family. I didn't cut you off, I said. I cut off the card. We gave you everything, he snapped. You gave me life, I said. Thank you. The rest I worked for. He breathed hard into the phone like a bull. Then he said, Jenna needs a new tire. It's dangerous. Then she should stop texting while driving and save money, I said. Or take the bus. He cursed and hung up. On day 14, something shifted. Jenna texted at 2 a.m., are you awake? I was at work watching a maintenance guy replace a flickering bulb. Yeah, I typed. She sent a long message. Not an apology. A story. How her manager cut her shifts. How she's trying stuff. How mom tells her I love to play victim. She ended with, I hate you for making mom cry. I typed, I don't hate you. I hate what we're doing. I told her I'd send her a budget template if she wanted. She replied, I knew you'd cave, and asked for $200. I didn't send it. On day 16, the internet in their apartment cut out. Jenna posted a tearful video about toxic family members, and a girl from high school commented, Girl, you're 26. Pay your Wi-Fi. I screenshotted it and felt petty for 5 minutes, and then better for 10. A week later, mom called from a different tone. Not ice. Not sugar. Tired. We talked to the landlord, she said. He's giving us 2 weeks. That's good, I said. Did you sell the TV? Silence. Mom. She sighed. Your father says it's the only joy we have. The only joy you have is a TV? I asked. Not each other. It came out harsher than I meant. She didn't answer. Then, like she couldn't help herself, she slid back into script. If you were a real man. I am, I said. That's why I'm not paying. She hung up again. That night, I took a different shift. For PM to midnight. I walked outside at 12:07 and the air was crisp. I didn't check my phone. I took the long way home under streetlights that buzzed like bees. I bought a cheap plant from a bodega because the clerk said it thrives on neglect. I put it on my kitchen table. I named it later. 2 days after that, my cousin Miguel called. He's quiet like me. Works double shifts at the warehouse. Saw the chat, he said. Just wanted to say, I get it. I leaned against my counter and felt tears prick in a way I didn't expect. Thanks, I said. How's your back? He laughed. We talked about nothing for 10 minutes. It was the most family I'd felt in months. End of week 3, I got a voicemail from Mom. No tears. No script. Just this. We sold the TV. A pause. We're talking to the church about help. Your father is looking into part-time at the hardware store. She inhaled like it hurt. You made your point. I still don't like how you did it. But we're doing something. I listened twice. I didn't cry. I didn't dance. I sat on my couch and stared at the plant named later and felt something like a knot loosening. The group chat went quiet after that. Not totally. There were still memes and Aunt Marcia's chain prayers and Jenna's filtered selfies. But the requests stopped showing up with my name on them. When someone wrote, Scott can, someone else wrote, let's not. Maybe Miguel. Maybe nobody. Maybe the room just shifted an inch. At work, the new supervisor who loves clipboards asked me to train a new guard. You're steady, he said. People listen. I wanted to laugh at the irony. The boy who shakes at his mother's table is steady at 3 a.m. with strangers. I said yes. I trained the kid. He was jumpy. I told him the trick isn't being tough. It's being clear. On a Sunday, I drove by my parents' place. I didn't stop. I slowed and looked. The blinds were open. Mom was at the table with papers. Dad was on his phone. Jenna wasn't there. For the first time ever, I didn't feel pulled like a magnet. I felt like a man driving his own car on his own route. A week later, Jenna texted me a photo of a pay stub. She got full-time at the cafe. Not forever, she wrote. But for now. I sent a thumbs up. She replied, I still think you're dramatic. Then, after a minute, thanks for the budget template. The plant at home sprouted a new leaf. I still hear her line sometimes. How does it feel to be useless, son? It floats up when I fold shirts on Sunday night or stand under the electric buzz of the lobby lights at 2 a.m. I hear it, and then I hear my own answer. It feels great, because I just stopped being your bank. That's not revenge. That's a boundary put into a sentence. Here's what I know now, speaking as the oldest kid, the night shift guard, the man who once ate cereal with water so someone else could watch a bigger screen. Love without limits turns into labor. Help without rules turns into habit. Quiet generosity can make people loud about your obligations. I'm not useless. I'm useful to myself, to my life, to the tenants who need a calm voice at 3 a.m., to the rookie guard who watches how I keep my shoulders down when a guy starts yelling, to the landlord who gets my rent on time now, to the plant on my table that thrives on neglect and still gets watered because I decided I matter enough to water it. My parents aren't villains. They're just used to the soft landing I built under them. When the landing went away, they flailed. Then they learned how to bend their knees. Jenna will always roll her eyes. That's fine. She also picked up an extra shift and texted me a photo of her budget with little stars next to food and bus pass. That's not a miracle. It's movement. I don't owe anybody my exhaustion. I don't owe anybody my silence. I set one rule and stuck to it. No more rent. The world didn't end. The phone got quieter. The air got cleaner. The nights stayed long but felt lighter. If you're reading this and your hand shakes at the table, if you pay and pay and pay and get called names anyway, write the word on page 1. Boundaries. Then write the second word, enough. Say it calmly. Say it once. And when the room goes quiet, don't fill it with excuses. Let the silence do some work. I'm Scott. I'm a security guard. I lock doors. I watch screens. I say, sir, I need you to step back. This year, I said it at my own family's table. They stepped back, and I finally stepped forward.